Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the AM show. I am your host. Those who love me call me Lerato. Those who know me call me Ali. And I am the founder and CEO of AM Consultants. Right. Welcome to the second episode. Now, in the first episode, we explored the possibility of building a financial strategic economic zone in South Africa. We highlighted the benefits, the impact, and several models across the world that are using that financial model in order to grow the economies. In today's episode, we will be discussing the rise of special economic zones as drivers of economic growth. Right. Now you're probably wondering, what's a special economic zone? Well, a special economic zone is a geographic location which is set aside by a government of a specific country for trade to happen. Now, special economic zones have emerged as powerful tools for driving economic growth and development in many countries around the world. These specialized areas offer a range of incentives, streamlined regulations, targeted infrastructure to attract investment, stimulate job creation, and they promote industrial and technological advancements. Now, today we're going to be analyzing models beyond South African examples. So we're going to examine how exactly do SEZs effectively attract foreign direct investment? How do they foster job creation? And we're going to provide some insights into the frameworks and governance models that enable successful SEZ implementation. Now, countries around the world have been challenged with economic diversification. A lot of countries around the world have been implementing infrastructure development programs in order to grow their economies. Now, business leaders can harness the transformative power of these specialized economic zones to drive sustained growth and prosperity. Now, as we all know, there's a global consensus that we have to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. And this is to avoid the worst impact of climate change. Now, this target is based on a scientific study by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Now, SEZs can play a pivotal role in ensuring that these targets are met by countries across the planet. Now, we have to understand, what are SEZs? Let's take it back a bit. So the concept of SEZs has its roots in the 1950s with the establishment of the first modern SEZ in Ireland. Over the decades, this model has proliferated globally, particularly in developing and emerging economies, as a means to drive economic diversification. It attracts foreign investment and it promotes exports. One of the most notable examples of a successful SEZ is in China. Now, beginning in the 1980s with the establishment of the first four special economic zones in Shenzhen, Zhuhai, Shantou, and Xiamen, China's SEZs have played a pivotal role in the country's remarkable economic transformation. It attracts significant foreign direct investment and serves as a hub for their industrial growth and technological advancement. Now, beyond China, other leading examples of a thriving SEZ include the Dubai International Financial Center in the UAE, which has emerged as a global financial hub, and Singapore's comprehensive economic development initiative, which have transformed the city-state into a prominent business and investment destination. The global proliferation of SEZs reflects their versatility and the recognition by policymakers worldwide of their potential to drive economic growth, create employment opportunities, and integrate domestic industries into global value chains. South Africa has 12 registered SEZs across our provinces, and several more are in the planning and registration phase. Now let's think, what are the key features of successful SEZs? Number one, they have favorable tax regimes such as reduced corporate tax or tax exemptions. Number two, they have streamlined regulatory processes, including fast-tracked approvals and simplified administrative procedures. Number three, they have dedicated infrastructure and supporting facilities such as industrial parks, logistics hubs, and high-speed internet. Number four, they have access to a skilled workforce and specialized talent. Number five, they have flexible labor laws and relaxed restrictions on foreign ownership and repatriation of profits. Now let's go around the world and compare some of these successful models. Now, SEZs around the world each have their own model, backed by the national strategy and based on the national resources available. In these zones, success is measured by different metrics, but the one consistent metric is contribution to GDP. Now, each SEZ around the world is modeled according to each country's comparative advantage. In China, the SEZs are based on the production of goods, whereas in Singapore, it's more service-based. Now, the underlying value addition of the SEZ is to consolidate strategic sectors in the economy in one area, provide ease of doing business, and produce more at a lower price to achieve scale. Now, let's think about China. China has 5 factors as to its success in the SEZs. Number 1, coordinated efforts between central and local authorities. Number 2, flexible labor policies and incentives to attract talent. Number 3, provision of world-class infrastructure and supporting facilities. Number 4, alignment with national development strategies and experimentation with market-orientated reforms. Number 5, gradual expansion and replication of successful models. Now, let's go to Dubai. Dubai has 0 corporate and personal income tax rates. That's crazy. I know. Number 2, it has world-class infrastructure and supporting services. Now, we all know Dubai built a city from scratch just to support this SEZ. Number 3, streamlined licensing and business setup procedures. Now, we have to consider the fact that Dubai is an offshore financial environment, so this has made it one of the most attractive cities and the fastest growing region of business in the world. Number 4, a robust legal and regulatory framework based on common law principles. Number 5, proximity to rapidly growing emerging markets in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Now, let's take it to Singapore. Singapore has proactive engagements with global businesses and investors. It emphasizes on the developing highly skilled and adaptable workforce. It has continuous investment in high-quality infrastructure and technology. It's aligned with the country's long-term development strategies, and it has effective coordination between public and private sectors. Now, given all of these countries were able to attract foreign direct investment. One of the primary drivers of an SEZ success is their ability to attract FDI. Now, through a range of incentives and favorable policies, these are one of the few things that make an SEZ work. Now, SEZs can effectively lure multinational corporations and global investors with tax holidays, duty-free imports, streamlined customs procedures, and relaxed foreign ownership restrictions. Now let's think, what are some common incentives found in thriving SEZs? As we've mentioned, tax holidays and reduced tax rates, duty-free imports and exports, relaxed foreign ownerships, streamlined administrative processes, and by offering a comprehensive package of these incentives and favorable policies, SEZs are able to create a compelling value proposition that effectively attracts FDI, particularly from multinational corporations and global investors who are seeking to expand their operations. Now, for a more detailed report, we have published a report on SEZs, which is available on our website in the am.co.za, and it's for sale. For 99 Rand, you can unlock the possibility of new knowledge. Now let's continue. Now, SEZs are known for stimulating job creation and economic growth. Now, beyond the ability to attract foreign direct investment, they often serve as a catalyst for development of industry clusters. Within these designated zones, related businesses, suppliers, and supporting service providers tend to concentrate, creating an ecosystem that drives productivity, innovation, and economic growth. Now, the clustering effect is observed in thriving SEZs, which leads to several benefits, such as economies of scale, knowledge spillovers, increased competitiveness, and talent retention. Successful SEZs recognize the importance of developing a skilled and specialized workforce to support the targeted industries within the zone. Now, this often involves close collaboration between the SEZ authorities, educational institutions, and vocational training providers to ensure a steady supply of qualified personnel. Now, through initiatives such as the industry-specific training programs, apprenticeships, and skills development initiatives, SEZs can nurture a talent pool that meets the evolving needs of businesses operating within the zone. Additionally, they can offer competitive compensation, career advancement, opportunities, a vibrant business ecosystem in order to attract top talent from both domestic and international labor markets. Now, by prioritizing skill development and talent attraction, SEZs can create a virtuous cycle of growth where the availability of a skilled workforce attracts more businesses, which in turn generates further employment opportunities. Now let's take this back to South Africa. Now, the potentials of SEZs to drive economic growth in South Africa is further exemplified by the country's existing SEZs, such as the COEGA SEZ in the Eastern Cape. Now, COEGA has attracted over $10 billion in investments since its inception, creating thousands of direct and indirect jobs in industries ranging from automotive, renewable energy, and the success of COEGA has demonstrated the ability of well-designed SEZs to attract foreign capital, stimulate industrial development, and generate significant employment opportunities. And this is a model that can easily be duplicated anywhere in the country and in the continent, and has been duplicated several times. As we know, there are 12 registered SEZs in South Africa. Now let's take it back to the governance models. That regulate the SEZ. The successful implementation of SEZs require a clear alignment between the zone's objectives, policies, the country's overarching development strategies, and economic priorities. And policymakers must ensure that the SEZ's targeted industries, investment incentives, and supporting infrastructure are coherently integrated with the national vision for economic growth, diversification, and competitiveness. Now, we have to align with national the zone to complement and reinforce the country's developmental goals. It also helps secure high-level political support and the necessary resource allocation to enable the SEZ to be effectively implemented. Now, coordinating between central and local authorities is probably the most important thing. Effective governance of SEZs often involve close coordination between national and local government. This collaborative approach is crucial for the efficient implementation of SEZ policies, the provision of necessary infrastructure and services, the responsiveness to unique needs of its zone and investors. Government is responsible for setting the overarching legal and regulatory framework, providing financial support, bulk infrastructure, and giving the zone the support that it needs. Now, the seamless coordination and clear delineation of responsibilities between these different levels can contribute significantly to the success and the smooth functioning of an SEZ. Now, we have to maintain high standards of transparency and accountability in the governance of SEZs to ensure long-term sustainability and credibility. This includes establishing robust monitoring and evaluation frameworks, as well as mechanisms for private-public dialogue and stakeholder engagement. Transparency in decision-making processes, resource allocation, and regulatory enforcement can help build trust and credibility among investors. Now, this is probably one of the most important things with SEZs, the transparency between the public and the private element. Because as we know, investors can be pretty demanding, but it's so important for government to be transparent with its policies, with its procedures, so that communities know how they're going to benefit from the establishment of these SEZs. Now, by integrating these principles of transparency and accountability into these governance structures, the authorities can foster a conducive business environment, attract sustained investment, and ensure long-term viability and a positive impact of these specialized economic zones. Now, what are some of the challenges and considerations that we need to consider with the implementation of SEZs? Firstly, SEZs drive economic growth and industrialization, but it's important to address the potential environmental and social implications of their development and operations. Policymakers and authorities must ensure that the zones adopt sustainable practices and mitigate any adverse impact on the local communities and natural ecosystem. Now, SEZs should implement robust environmental regulations, promote the use of clean technologies, and incentivize environmentally friendly practices among the businesses operating in this environment. The development and operation of the SEZs must also consider the social impact on local communities. This includes ensuring fair labor practices, providing adequate housing and infrastructure, and addressing any potential displacement or disruption caused by the establishment of the zone. Proactive engagement with stakeholders and implementation of inclusive policies can help foster social acceptance and long-term sustainability. Now, addressing these environmental and social concerns can help secure the overall sustainability of these zones. It can align the economic objectives with the broader sustainable development goals and enhance their credibility and acceptance among all all stakeholders. Now, another key aspect is balancing incentive and fiscal implications. Now, while generous tax incentives and other financial benefits can be a powerful tool for attracting investment, stimulating economic activity within these SEZs, policymakers must be careful to balance the short-term benefits and the long-term fiscal implications. Excessive tax holidays and revenue foregone can lead to a significant reduction in tax revenues for the government. This can potentially strain the public finance, limiting resources available for broader and social infrastructure development. So a careful cost-benefit analysis should be done, and monitoring of tax revenue impacts and gradual phasing out of incentives can help ensure financial sustainability of these initiatives. Additionally, policymakers must consider the potential for unfair competitive advantages that may arise from the preferential treatment afforded to businesses within the SEZs, as this could create resentment and undermine the overall competitiveness of the national economy. Now, as the global economy continues to evolve, SEZs must remain agile and responsive to shifting trade patterns across the world. Technological advancement and changing investor preferences, policymakers and authorities must continuously review and adapt their strategies, policies, and infrastructure to ensure that the zones maintain their competitiveness and relevance in the face of these dynamic changes. This includes diversifying the targeted industries, upgrading technological capabilities of the zone, exploring new investment opportunities, and ongoing monitoring and evaluation. This will ensure that the SEZs remain competitive in a globe where competition creates the highest ROI. It's just pure business, my people. So every government in the world has to ensure that each zone located in their country is competitive as possible. So, what are some of the key takeaways regarding special economic zones? Well, they have proven to be very powerful in driving economic growth and development in countries around the world. They offer conducive business environments, and they have successfully attracted foreign direct investment. They've created millions of jobs and fostered technological and industrial development in industries across the world. And as we move forward as a global economy, we are going to see an increase in the number of industry-focused SEZs across the world. And as AM consultants, we are here to help governments, businesses, entrepreneurs with their plans for expansion. So, thank you for tuning in. We can't wait for the next episode, and we hope this one was informative and entertaining. And what are your thoughts on strategic economic zones? Do you think they're sustainable? Do you think they create unfair competition? Share your thoughts with us in the comments, via email. We're always keen to hear from all our listeners. And thank you to AM Consultants and to our hosting partner In The Morning. Please visit us for all your hosting and web development needs at inthemorning.co.za. And for project owners who are raising capital, we have developed a fundraising platform called Community at community.co.za. List your project, let's help you with your project preparation, and let's build a better world. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of the AM Show.